This episode of Health Vibes is brought to you by the brand you trust the most, Jolly's Pharmacy Limited, leading the way in healthcare.
Introducing Jolly's Pharmacy, brand new website www.jollys.dm. It's your time to jump the line. Shop now at jollys.dm and have your items delivered in the comfort of your office. No more standing in line. No need to use your lunch hour to shop. Hassle-free shopping, safe and secure. Jollys.dm features rush delivery 1 hour, in-store pickup, regular delivery 5 p.m. Cut-off time 4 p.m. It's your time to jump the line. Visit us at www.jollys.dm. Jolly's Pharmacy, leading the way in healthcare.
Jolly's Pharmacy presents a new and innovative radio program, Health Vibes. Health Vibes. Every Wednesday morning on Q95 FM. Health Vibes, hosted by Carlton Lando and Pearl Fontaine Butler. Health Vibes from 10:15 to 11 a.m. It's not just your average talk show. It's appealing and educational with a bit of humor. Real vibes on your health. Now, that's the vibe. Health Vibes on Q95. Every Wednesday from 10:15 to 11 a.m. with Pearl and Carlton. Tune in.
Welcome to Health Vibes, Dominica's most foremost program on health, medicine, nutrition, and wellness, featuring the latest news on conventional and alternative medicine and healthcare. Now, here's your host, Carlton Lando, and co-host, Pearl Fontaine Butler.
Good morning, Dominica. We are so happy that you've joined us today, Wednesday, on Health Vibes. We know that so many people listen to Health Vibes each Wednesday. We're getting more and more demands of the show. People want tips, people want copies, people want information emailed to them, and that is so good. It means that people are really getting themselves informed and educated on health matters. Pearl, good morning.
And also, they're making the necessary changes to better their lives and themselves and their health. So good morning, Dominica. Good morning to you, Carlton. As you know, anything that involves growth and learning to be, to better yourself, to better me, you can count us in. And today's topic is focused primarily on toxic burdens and strategies to minimize those toxic areas in our lives. But before we begin our main topic for the day, we do have some news for you. Recently, women have been told to avoid pregnancy in Dominica, and this is huge because last week when we spoke, we weren't there yet. We only talked about the one case that was confirmed. But the district medical officer for the Roseau Health District, Dr. Lenora Drygo, has advised women of childbearing age to avoid getting pregnant until the country is free from the Zika virus. The virus has been linked to cases of microcephaly, 4,000 in Brazil alone since October 2015, in which babies are born with underdeveloped brains and small heads. She advised also that women who are already pregnant should visit their gynecologist as soon as possible, since there are scans that need to be done. So Carlton, this is obviously very serious. I know that some of the information coming out of the WHO, they've been, investigating this Zika virus and the symptoms and, all of the things that come out of it. But we obviously have to, precaution is better than cure, I like to say. So, what's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, generally, most Caribbean islands, we follow the module or the advice from World Health Organization. And I believe Dominica is merely taking precaution in light of this this condition that's affecting so many babies. I was reading, when you sent me the information last night, I was reading about it too, and I saw some other information out there relating to some possible causes why this might be occurring to babies, happening to babies, and they were talking about a chemical, a poison that was placed in water to kill the larvae of mosquitoes, and the people went and drank the water. Hence the reason this is happening. I think yes, I think from last week, the World Health Organization, they did say that they have more definitive information that microcephaly is really one of the complications caused by the Zika virus. And I think our Ministry of Health is merely taking the advice of World Health Organization, admonishing our people to be more cautious and maybe to prevent or postpone pregnancy, to prevent the event of a child being born with this condition. Some people may be of the view that it's too quick to bring out or to declare such. I think at the end of the day, I'm speaking out of being a pharmacist. I think at the end of the day, it's a person's, choice. But I think we still should be prudent and take the advice. Listen to further information as it relates to the Zika virus.
And also, continue clearing up debris and, the areas that can, harbor these viruses.
These viruses, yes.
Absolutely. So to join our live streaming, you can go to the Q95 website on www.q95da.com and click on the YouTube video stream icon or player. You can also visit their Facebook page or their YouTube page at Q95 FM Radio Wice. And be sure to check in with your questions, concerns, or thoughts on 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257, or on the overseas line, which is 305-432-9624. Up next, we have Dr. Sybil Allen Jones, who is here to talk about toxic burdens. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Great.
At Johnny's Pharmacy, your health and wellness is our passion. No wonder Johnny's Pharmacy provides the widest variety of the highest quality vitamin supplements and remedies for your lifestyle activity and nutritional needs. Take care of your body. Get the multivitamins advantage supply to enhance, promote, improve, repair, and revitalize your body. Johnny's for the complete line of preventative and curative health supplies and tonics. Rejuvenate with men's and women's one-a-day tablets. Boost concentration. Tricentrum Silver and omega-3s to build your immune and nervous system functions, strengthen your cardiovascular system, boost bone health. For stamina, get all your natural balanced megavites herbal supplements, men's daily formula for sexual energy and function, saw palmetto plus supplements to soothe joint pain. Feel like a dynamo, get up and go, catch back your mojo at Johnny's, Dominica's principal healthcare pharmacy. Why? Because you deserve more from a drugstore.
You're listening to Health Vibes.
So we're back, and we're going to talk about toxic burdens. Every day you can imagine how much we are bombarded with toxic compounds, whether it's the air we breathe, the water we drink, food we eat, and even the homes we live in. They all have some level of toxic contamination. Most times it's just the unavoidable nature of our industrialized world. There's almost no safe haven. You can't eliminate every point of exposure, but you can reduce and control it. And this morning we are joined by Dr. Sybil Allen Jones, and she's no stranger to Health Vibes. Dr. Jones, welcome and thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you, Pearl, and welcome to Dominica. Good morning, a beautiful day. Happy to be here.
Good. So can you expound on toxic burdens?
Yeah, and as you said, Pearl, our environment has changed over the past 40, 50 years in particular. There's actually a new book that just came out called Contamination, and the nation part is nations. And it's written by a fellow by the name of McKay Jenkins. And what he is talking about is that around us every day we have toxins that are disrupting our bodies. So the cancer rates, for example, we know that for example right now 50% of men will get cancer. 33% of women at the moment would get cancer in their lifetime. And these things are not just happening because it's not coincidence. It's related to the environment that we're in. And so, for example, when you bring home, we just recently brought home brand new mattresses. And you think, oh, great, wonderful, you've got a nice place to sleep and it's going to feel good. Well, one of the things that's happened over the past 40 years or so is that they have now put a flame retardant material in mattresses because they were concerned about mattresses catching on fire. But the chemicals in that flame retardant mattress are also now connected to being creating brain issues for people. So here you are, and actually, when you think about the new smells, if you think about when you get a new car, when you get a new mattress, there's a certain smell from the plastics. And that new smell we come to associate with good and new.
Yes.
But it's really chemicals, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
So for example, one of the things one can do with a new mattress is put it outside before you sleep on it for a day or two, just to air it out. So that the chemicals can begin to lessen, and it's really more the fumes that you're.
So you put it where, in the sun or
in the sun?
In the
Yes,
sun.
yes. Hopefully you pray for no rain, and you try to if you see it's going to rain, you bring it back in. But essentially, you need to air it out before you get it into your bedroom, and particularly for family members who maybe have sensitivities or allergies or things like that, the fumes can become something that can be very toxic for them. So that's just a simple thing.
So that chemical that's supposedly is in the mattress, does it make you sleep more? Does it make you? Because is it a way that to commercialize the mattress that you sleep deeper, or you always want to sleep? You feel very lethargic.
You know what? Can I say something though? Anything that's new, let's say specifically to do with my bed, like sheets, they always have this kind of scent. I cannot sleep with that. Everything has to be washed before I use it.
Yes.
Because I cannot breathe. It's almost like I feel it stifling me.
Yeah. And oftentimes it's the plastics, there are different chemicals that are put into plastics so that they have a smell and a leaching and all of those kinds of things. So definitely, and the thing about it, so if you just think about your home right now, for example, indoor environment. You may store paints in your house. You may store glues because you're working on a project. You may have, other cleaning products. Well, cleaning products in our household, and detergents. People who may have a dryer and they're using those dryer sheets. All of those things are emitting chemicals into your indoor environment. And sometimes we're closing up our windows instead of letting fresh air coming in. And so here we are just quietly absorbing all of those in our bodies, not realizing that we're, in a sense, contaminating our environment.
And too, that makes me think about, some people, the way that they build their homes, sometimes some walls can absorb moisture, and that can create mold and mildew, and they don't even realize it's there. And so every day, day in and day out, they're inhaling this, they're ingesting it, they're living with it, and then it sort of takes on a role in itself. Then you find out, if you go to a doctor, you find that
you have a respiratory problem.
Fungus and all kinds of stuff.
Right. And so, even, so that's the sort of external and the internal. And then we also have foods, the types of foods that we're eating. We're eating more packaged food. We're eating more foods from that comes out of a can, and so the cans are lined with chemicals again because we're trying to increase shelf life.
Yes.
But we're slowly, as we're eating that on a regular basis, traces of that are going into our bodies and into our system. Okay, so I think the whole idea is we're not going to shift in a big way the things that we're talking about, but what we can do is to be aware. So perhaps you start to cook more and eat more fresh foods as opposed to everything, all of your meals or a large majority of your meals coming from a package or from a can, because then you're lessening the toxic burdens in your system. And your system is getting more time to recover. Because what we need to do is to ensure that our immune system is strong.
Yes.
So that when these chemicals and these toxins are coming into our bodies, that your immune system can fight those toxins and lessen them. Okay. And one other way is also to be able to detoxify or to wash out clean out our systems on a regular basis. And so those are ways that we can do that by eating certain foods, more fresh vegetables, more fruit, taking a period of time. So if you eat, maybe no later than 7 o'clock at night, and then by the next day you don't have something until like maybe 9 o'clock, that's like a 12, 13-hour cycle where your body is actually cleaning out.
So it's resting.
And being able to detox in many ways. Okay, so those are the kinds of things that we have to be careful about. And of course, water. We're drinking water that's chlorinated, and when the water goes off, and when we have a lot of rains and heavy rains, when it comes back, the smell of the chlorine is even stronger, and it means that we're putting in more chlorine to keep to
kill the germs
and all of those things. So again, water. It's important that people think about the possibility of getting filters that they could do to clean the water and certainly to clean out the chlorine.
I was reading something recently about. I drink bottled water. I don't drink tap water. And I was reading recently that some plastic bottles, they leach into the water, and that kind of creates cancer. When it's ingested with women, it creates cancer and all these kinds of things. But even if you get plastic bottles that are BPA free and all of this, are we even still safe from the leaching of the plastic into the water?
And bottled water. So what's happened is that some people are not maybe trusting the tap water now. So you see a proliferation of people drinking water from plastic bottles, bottled water. But the thing about the bottled water at the moment is that there are very few standards for what's in that water. Who's testing it regularly and making sure that what's inside of the bottled water is actually safe? And then, of course, we have the issue of the plastics leaching as well. And those plastics, when heated, so sometimes people might have bottled water and they have them in the car, and the sun is on it. It's leaching out chemicals. Or sometimes people might think it's a good idea to freeze them and then bring them to work. Again, temperature changes. Too hot, too cold, also creates more of that leaching. And the chemicals that come out of the plastics are what we call endocrine disruptors. And they are particularly of a concern for women because it's the hormonal issues that can occur. What we see in certain parts of the ocean where there are sea of plastic is that male fish are starting to become female. Because of the hormonal issues. So that's happening with the fish, but we also know there are concerns that are also happening with humans. With us as well.
So what are some solutions? What are some?
Well, for water, for example, people, it's preferable at the moment to drink your tap water than necessarily bottled water. Because at least the tap water, you have a sense of what's coming out of it. The bottled water, you have no real
idea.
No real idea. But water filtering is very important. If people can at some point purchase a water filter that they would put on their taps, and so that they would at least be aware. We also have springs that in Dominica that a lot of people will go and just get spring water for drinking. And then rainwater is also a possibility for bathing for some people as well. So that you take a break from the chlorine, maybe occasionally bathe in the river more. So because your body's absorbing.
And the other thing about water as well, particularly bottled water, they do contain high levels of sodium too. And so if they use the sodium to help preserve the water. If you're hypertensive, then that could also elevate your blood pressure. If you have kidney failure as well, that's as well can precipitate it. I remembered when the storm passed, when we were in St. Joseph doing that clinic, that was one of the concerns that they had for the St. Joseph Health District. They had seen quite a bit of elevation in blood pressures. When I spoke to the head nurse there, she said that one were the canned foods that came in. Many people were using canned foods that came in from overseas, and the bottled waters that came in as well. And so the sodium levels were very high in those items.
Yeah.
And that, so every time when you drink bottled water, you actually taking in excess salt in your body as well. So we want to remember that.
So what are ways that our listeners and even ourselves, what are ways that we can minimize the real issues associated with increasing toxicity in our daily lives?
Well, let's take, for example, something like the cleaning products that we're using in our household. One of the things that we can begin to do is to, yes, you can use some of the ones that you're already using, but from time to time, something like vinegar and water, some lime or lemon.
Well, I know for sure vinegar cleans a mirror
Yes.
very well.
Yes, and also your toilets, your floors.
Yes.
So you can it's not all the time. Obviously, but at least you can. It's a minimization.
Okay,
Do we have a call?
Good morning.
Good
Hello.
morning, caller.
Good morning, caller.
Blessed and a Godful Wednesday to yours.
Good morning to you, Kale. How are you?
Your distinguished guest
Yes.
on the eve of Holy Thursday. I am listening. The more, as the old people will say in Barbados, the more you live, the more you learn. And I never knew that bottled water. I don't really drink it, but I never knew bottled water had sodium.
Yes, it does.
So I have to let my friends know because we have something on Thursday called Q in the community where all the seniors, those senior citizens come out and they socialize. So a lot of them use a lot of bottled water and things like that. So I would tell them about it. And when we have Dr. on call on the radio, I would question them about it too. But it's a good thing I listening to your station because I never knew. I thought it was just water that tested and find out that it's okay that we can drink it, good for consumption, but I never knew that they put salt in it at all.
Yes.
So thank you very much. That is what good Jolly says.
Thank you.
Have a blessed
Thank you.
day, and I
Appreciate
will
that.
continue to listen to my favorite station.
Thank you.
Thank
Any other else counterfeit.
Take care of yourself.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Personal care products, for example, so deodorants. It would be good if one could try to get more natural-based deodorants because oftentimes, many of the deodorants have a lot of chemicals in them as well. But if you're interested in even making your own deodorant, a simple thing of baking soda with some coconut oil and your favorite, smell like essential oil. Perhaps it could be something like.
Rose.
Lime or rose or whatever you think, and just make a paste. And so you make it for 2 or 3 days, and then you use that as and again you can trade. So maybe you don't have every time to have it, and you run out of it. Then you use a more natural deodorant. Because one of the things that we've also know that particularly for women, the breast tissue. Related to putting on the deodorants and the chemicals related to that, there is definitely a connection between that and the increase in breast cancers.
Particularly aluminum, because most of the antiperspirants contain aluminum.
Yes.
And there have been talk about that aluminum may be carcinogenic. And so they have been
as well as connected to Alzheimer's disease.
Yes, that's true.
Right. Yes.
That's true.
And speaking of aluminum, when we get to things like pots and pans, aluminum pots and pans might be more used, and that's something people have to also think about. Maybe having a combination of things more like glass or stainless steel, because there is that connection. The other thing about pots and pans is the Teflon coated. Teflon was created so that housewives wouldn't have food that's sticking, so your eggs would slide off. And
yes.
But what the combination of chemicals within the Teflon, when heated, we now know is carcinogenic. BFO is one of the chemicals, and some of the newer Teflon, they're saying they're BFO free.
Because we have a call. I want to talk. I want to stick up.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning.
How are you?
Good morning.
Good, and you?
I am doing good.
I would like a little more explanation on the water.
Okay, sorry. Yes, a little more explanation on the water.
Bottled water?
Yes. Caller?
Person has left.
Okay. So she'd like some more.
What we were just saying is that bottled water has high levels of sodium in it. bottled water. Also, the regulations in regards to how they're tested and what we know about the quality of the water is something that is not done. So you don't really know what's in the bottled water. And so also that the plastics that the bottled water are in, when they are exposed to high temperatures like heat or cold, that certain chemicals are leached out as well from the plastics, and they can also create, difficulties for your body, something we call endocrine disruption, where hormones are more likely to emerge. So you wouldn't want to be drinking, bottled water every day. And if you are, that try to avoid it being in heat or cold. But I think really what you want to be able to do is to have access to water that you maybe filter at home, and glass bottles or stainless steel water carrying bottles are preferable to carry your water in. Most of us have access to a lot of glass bottles after having drinks or whatever, and clean them up, bring them up, and bring them to work with you, as opposed to all of the plastics. And again, it can't be maybe every day, but at least what you're trying to do is to lessen the possibilities of these toxicities in your life.
Right. There are actually a lot of, I've been doing some research on a lot of different companies who have started manufacturing glass bottles in a creative way.
Yes.
And like glass containers and things like this, especially for children.
Yes.
Yes.
A few years ago, a friend of mine was pregnant and she had a baby, and I said to her, she was feeding the child one day, and I said, wait, this is a glass bottle. And she said, yes, they make them. It's actually a lot healthier than using the plastic baby bottles to feed the child. So I was a bit intrigued since then, and I've been doing my research on that. So
yeah,
Dr. Jones, you mentioned something earlier on that had me going. When you were talking about the household agents that are around us and so forth, many of us have. Not every house may have a special cupboard for those agents. Do you believe that those agents, particularly for people who are now building, it's better to have a special room outside of the dwelling house to store those agents rather than having them underneath the sink below there or so?
Certainly, yes, because you see what you're doing is you're adding to the fumes and it's quiet fumes. One of the things that when in my reading and the one book I just mentioned about contamination, they were even talking about the fact that we were, as humans, we were never meant to cook indoors. And when we think about it now, gas inside of the house, these are all things that are quiet, silent, but they're adding up in terms of the toxicities that are affecting our bodies. And our bodies are meant to heal, and they have incredible powers of regeneration, but there are limits. And that's when the dis-ease comes about, because we're not in balance anymore. And so yes, it definitely is whatever you can do. If you had a little shed outside, better to store those kinds of paints and toxic stuff like we're talking about, and certainly a cupboard in the kitchen. Maybe you put them within a container and close it up so that the fumes are lessened in terms of, because they're coming out, and also when we're using them inside of a household where there's no ventilation, then we're spraying stuff and then closing up the windows for bugs, for example. And those fumes are also going into our respiratory system, our whole bodies. So we're seeing a lot more things like childhood asthmas, rates increasing, respiratory problems for elderly people. All of those things are related to the environment, internal and external.
Eczema.
It's so funny. I've always been so conscious of, when people say spray your houses for mosquitoes, something that you just said. But you go into your bedroom and you spray this spray all around, but then the deposits of that rest on your bed, on your pillows, on your surfaces. And when you go to bed, it doesn't just evaporate into thin air. It lays on your sheets. And when you go to bed, you're inhaling all of the stuff. I've since stopped spraying my room once I've, became conscious of that.
Right. And things like, just think about your bathroom. You've got, people have air fresheners now in their bathrooms.
Yes.
Leashing out. Well, opening the window, it would be another way. Or just maybe putting a lemon peel, let it dry. The scent of that can give you, the freshness. So again, the question is, what things can you live without? What things are absolutely necessary in terms of the toxicity of the things that we're doing. So, do you need an air freshener in your bathroom? Because again, what's coming out of that? You're inhaling it. It's creating additional problems for you. Things like your toothpaste. Fluoride in the toothpaste is also something that we have to be conscious of. Fluoride is definitely now connected to various cancers, and so we can buy fluoride-free toothpaste if one can afford that, or you can also make a toothpaste, turmeric, using that dry turmeric powder mixed with water or mixed with coconut oil makes an incredible toothpaste.
But turmeric, isn't that kind of like staining, wouldn't it?
That's what you would think, but try it out and then you can tell me later. It definitely has a yellow kind of look on it.
I'm like Dr. Joe's, my teeth are already pearly white.
I know. Pearly
turmeric
white because
stains everything. I mean, I use it when I'm juicing or I'm smoothing. It stains everything. My sink is white. Everything is white and clear, and you just see this yellow, this bright neon yellow.
But when we were growing up, people still use the cane, the
right, the dry cane after you chew it and you scrub your teeth.
Morning, caller. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Yes, I'm fine. Let me tell you hear me?
Yes, we are.
What about the incense? You like it burning incense?
Burning incense in the house.
Yes, incense, again, you can have some ventilation, proper ventilation in the house. Mosquito coils are another, issue in terms of making sure there's some ventilation in the house while the coils are being burnt.
So what you're saying is burning incense is okay once there's ventilation.
Yeah.
So you leave the windows open and all of that. Okay.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you as well, though. All of what you've made some very, very important points along the way, and you've sensitized us a lot. But do you believe that all of what is happening around us is making us more hyper? Because I was reading an article the other day as well, that all this chemical is making our children grow way before the time. When we were growing up, they used to say, you, in Dominica term, you're wetty. You're not growing, but we were really growing at the right stage. Now people growing just shooting up.
Yes.
We have a caller. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Good morning
How
to
are
you.
you, ma'am?
I'm doing okay, and you?
Good.
We're doing good.
Thank you.
Very good interesting program.
Thank you.
What are your thoughts?
With the turmeric, anything you touch, it makes it yellow.
Yeah.
Anything. But it's a very good product.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I use it to make my gravy. Imagine I color my rice with it. It's very good. But anything you peel in it, your fingernails get yellow.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes.
Everything get yellow. Even the container self you use get yellow.
Your toothbrush will get yellow, but your teeth will get white.
Yeah, I know it make it get yellow, but eventually it will get white.
And it's a fabulous thing for your heart. It's good for preventing cancers. Turmeric is an amazing
and it's even good for your kidney.
Yes,
because I do research on the computer. It's good for your kidney.
That's
right. That's right. That's right.
In your kidney, like let's say people having hot circulation, it's good for them too. Yes. I do my research about them.
Good.
Yes,
okay.
wonderful.
Continue doing your research.
Thank you.
That's why I use it.
Yes,
right.
Wonderful. Yes.
We have another caller. Good morning.
Good morning, caller.
Yes, I'm here again.
Yes, David.
What you said about turmeric, I grow it and I grind it and dry it out and I use it in my food.
Okay, great.
It was you can use it as substitute toothpaste. But you were speaking about mosquito coil. I almost, I could say I can't go twice. I burned the coil in my bedroom, and the morning when I got up and I tried to breathe, I couldn't breathe in, couldn't breathe at all. and I start coughing, and then another time I burned it again, and it happened I never use it again, because if I felt like if I was going to die. We are speaking about things that I have. I have a room in the house where I store, but I have paint because I'm repairing my home, and in my bathroom I have all of my detergents and things because I don't have a shed outside. But I went to a seminar with the Barbados Workers Union, and they was saying the same thing too about telling domestic workers how they should use certain things. Plus, I know two ladies that they lose their husband by cleaning the bath. They mix chemicals together, and it killed them in the bathroom. They drop them dead in the bathroom.
Wow.
And my gas, I noticed I have a lighter, so sometimes when I flick, it do not come on, and I inhale that gas, so I have to be careful also, as you were saying. But what I do is sometimes if I feel that I inhale it, I will go and drink milk, because sometimes I don't use matches, I use a lighter, and sometimes you flick, and it don't come on, and when I do light, I'm inhaling the gas, so I would have to be very careful now.
Good. All right, thank you, Paula.
Thank you.
So to answer your question,
yes, I think that one of the things that we have noticed, particularly with children, Carlton, is that there is an amazing increase of what we call ADHD around the world, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and a lot of it is being connected to the foods that we're feeding children. A lot of the corn kernels and all of those kinds of things. Fructose, as well as the dyes in the foods. The processed foods, again, things like the hot dogs where there's all these.
All the time.
Yeah. So these are also things. The chicken, the hormones that are now being particularly imported chicken, extensive use of hormones to get those chickens from hatching within 3 weeks and maturing within that period. So a lot of those hormones are also seeing things like an increase in the early onset of menses for girls.
That's true.
And breasts for girls, and even younger boys getting breasts. So yes, there's definitely a connection between our food supply and our nutrition and some of those.
So we were growing at the right stage when in the 70s, because we were not exposed to all these fast foods, and people felt we were not growing.
That's right.
And now what has happened? I'm in my 40s, and the average person think I'm in my 30s, and you'd find people who are in their in their 20s. They look like they're in their 40s already because they overgrow.
Yes, that's right. And in fact, Carlton, just to add to that, what we're saying right now, what we're seeing from the evidence is that children born now are not going to outlive their parents. It will be the first time in history, the way things are going, that children will die before their parents because of the fact that we're, things like adult onset diabetes is now happening with children, type 2 diabetes. Yeah.
Dr. Jones, I read something recently, while researching this toxic burdens, and one of the things it said that we have to take an active approach in changing our environment, but also it said be smart about what you allow into your life. And I wanted to ask you, my main question was, could this be a spiritual thing as well? Like, instead of, we're talking about the environment and toxic burdens, within our foods and things like this, but could this also be a spiritual thing?
Excellent question, Pearl. Toxicity in our lives can include relationships. Relationships in the workplace, relationships with our siblings, our family, with friends. And if you, sometimes I refer to it as a vampire relationship, because vampires suck energy from you, suck blood. So if you're in relationships where you feel like your energy is being depleted, it means it's not a healthy relationship. Right. It means there's a certain level of toxicity that's happening in that relationship. So absolutely, and I think that as part of that, regeneration, we need to spend time in nature and spend time in quiet. I was doing a workshop the other day, and I just asked the participants just to have quiet for 2 minutes so they could actually hear their hearts and hear feel their body. Most of us noise everywhere.
Yes.
We go home, we turn on the television.
Yes.
We don't get quiet. We're in the office, there's everything buzzing, noises, and we don't get opportunity to actually just let ourselves be quiet. We're not spending enough time in nature. So all of those things affect our spirit. And our spirit, of course, affects our physical health.
But look at how this has changed around. If you find someone by a river just quiet on a stone, you might assume this person has gone mad. Because the way our society has, it's like quietness, being quiet, something is wrong with you. What's wrong with you? Why are you not talking? Our quiet time has become to go on the iPad.
Yes.
Right. And that's not
or to be WhatsApping, and that's we consider quiet time.
Yes.
But what you say in this quiet time is absolutely not that.
Yeah.
A time to really listen to your spirit and your soul and rejuvenate
even to just
yourself.
Breathe sometimes,
to
because
breathe.
we find that.
Yes.
I notice about myself. I'm walking down the street and I'm breathing on a very shallow level.
Yes.
But we don't take the time to really do some deep breathing and just release that carbon dioxide.
Right.
We don't do that generally. Everybody's just so busy. I'm trying to make it from here to there. We just don't breathe properly.
That's right. And when you look at how children breathe, babies, you'll see what we're talking about, from right down from the diaphragm and all the way up. But as we grow, it comes all the way up, and it's very shallow, and we are not getting the release of the carbon dioxide for sure.
Right, and so that adds to the toxicity within us.
Right. And the feeling of stress in our bodies, because we're not releasing those stresses from our bodies. Yeah.
We have a caller. Good morning, caller.
Hey, good morning, Carlton.
Good
My
morning.
friend, how are you?
I'm good. Good morning, Pearl. And with the other,
thanks for holding, Dr. Jones.
Dr. Jones,
Yes.
very informative the very good vibes from Dr. Jones.
Yes.
She touched on so many things, and the chlorine in our water,
Yes.
the cooking utensils that we use in terms of aluminum and all those things.
The non-stick ones.
Yes. Let me ask a question on even the cooking utensils. Lately, there I have been gravitating towards ceramic stuff for cooking. I don't know what I have used on the ceramic stuff that they use for cooking now. Well, you can answer later. You can just take notes. And even with the chlorine in our water, I have not drank chlorinated water in many years. As a matter of fact, I'm one of those who go to the source for my water. I have just been started to go into more glass bottles than the plastic bottles, because I know about the leaching of the plastic leaching. What I wanted to ask, yes, in the I almost lost my train of thought. In the chlorine in our water, in an article many years ago in a week magazine, I learned that in a couple areas where they would have poor quality of water, they found that there was a depleting of iodine in the bodies of that population, where they would end up with this thing called goiter. That was directly related to a poor quality of water, where they were actually just dumping loads of chlorine in that water, and because there were loads of chlorine in the water, the chlorine was actually depleting the iodine in their bodies. That's another part of it that we need to look at, because a lot of people have very serious problems with thyroid and all other kinds of problems, and I think it's directly related to that. And even with the water that comes from the pipe, we have another element of the galvanized pipe that was used long time ago, which is buried down in the ground, and as it is still used today in some of the systems, where all these iron is not eliminated from our system. So we have the rotting of the iron from the chlorine that comes right through our pipe-borne water. So I think, like she said, filtering is maybe one of the great ways we can go. To do with detoxification, with all this toxin and all, even noise pollution. We have a lot of noise everywhere you go. The little businesses pumping out their speakers, their music. I think this is another way of we polluting ourselves with all this noise and cannot balance ourselves properly in the society. This is something else that we need to look at. For detoxification, lately I have found out something. I use a lot of aloe, but lately I learned to combine it with ginger and lemon, or ginger and grapefruit juice, and I think that's a great way to go juicing, maybe a glass in the morning, a glass in the afternoon, for detoxifying my body. I don't know what she would think of stuff like that, if she knows anything about that. Just give me a little rundown. I'm listening. Bye-bye.
Okay, great.
Okay, excellent contribution there, listener. What I would say is that in terms of the cooking utensils, ceramic is good, stainless steel is good, glass is good, and even clay pots. I'm surprised that we don't have as many clay pots in Dominica as we could, because we have lots of clay here. Yeah. So I get those potters out there, creating some clay pots. I think that absolutely the chlorine and the iodine issue is related, and we are noticing a lot more, problems with thyroid issues, and particularly amongst women. Women almost double than men for thyroid issues. That's true. And again, because we have different hormonal balances, that takes into consideration that as well. The other thing about chlorine is that, for example, we know that long-term drinking of chlorinated water, you can increase your risk of cancers, particularly bladder cancers, by about 80%. In National Cancer Institute information there. So it's important that we do look at the water situation for ourselves individually. One of the things that people can do, in the intermediary, if they are not able to get a water filter, the root of the moringa plant or tree, there are a couple of vendors in Dominica who are selling the roots, and the root in many countries like Africa, the moringa root is used for detoxifying and clarifying the water. So you can pick up those roots and put them in your, something like a simple water filter, like a Brita water filter, which are more economical, and then you can put the moringa root in it. As a way for purifying your water. So again, it's a matter of trying to see what you can do to lessen that.
Caller, good morning. Thanks for holding.
Yes, me again. Why she was on the moringa, and she was talking about the moringa root for purification. Even the moringa, the shell of the moringa seed is also good for purification of the water, because research in Africa where there was a lot of children with malnutrition and poor water systems. That was one of in the article that I read, that was one of the things that was used. And I think it's a Canadian lady who actually got healed from moringa, who actually went to that part of Africa where they actually planted short crop moringa trees where the children could reach and pick them. So they used to prune them for them to be short, so the children could always reach them to pick. And it showed that in 6 months, the children who were actually malnourished was actually playing football. Wow. And it was an amazing program that she had, and it was doing well. So they were taking lands that was nothing was happening there. They actually planted short crop moringa trees, so they had a better quality of water using the roots and the shell of the moringa seed.
Yes.
Yeah, man, nice one. Bye-bye.
But yes. Let me ask Dr. Yes. Would boiling the water help to reduce the chlorine levels? I remember in previous shows there was a caller who was very passionate about the chlorine in Dominica's water, and I did tell him that I'm not really an expert in that area, so I won't be able to give much information. Yeah. But I boil water all the time myself. I don't use water direct from the tap. I always boil it. Would that reduce? I don't think it does. But
not chlorine. Chlorine requires more specific filtering. But boiling is always good because there might be other contaminants in the water, but it won't take out the
We also chlorine. Had a caller who had mentioned, I think he was Rastafarian, and he had mentioned collecting the water and putting a white cotton cloth over the jar of, it absorbs the chlorine, excess chlorine. You have to leave it for a couple of days, and it absorbs the excess chlorine from the water. That was one of the things that he mentioned. It was a Rastafarian. Good morning, caller. Thanks for calling.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you?
Fine, thanks. What I'm calling to say is the amount of drugs we take, especially the antidepressants, because they say if you let it go and people who their waste go to the sea, it affects the animals. It would even make, as you all were saying earlier, some things change people from male, the plastic, to female. They have noticed since in the late 60s, early 70s, that antidepressants turn you around also. And that is given out so commonly for any little thing without going to the root cause.
Okay, that's a good point that you've raised.
And I think, caller, in the early days, antidepressants were more for short-term use. If a person was having some depression and maybe some anxiety and, related to a particular situation like a loss or a death or things like that. That was really the intention, more shorter term use. But now it's become more where people are on it for quite a number of years. And so, the results, are different.
And they even give rebound. They make you get worse. So we really need some education on that.
That's a topic that we would love to we will bring on board to explore antidepressants. There are different classifications of them, and they all work differently. And so, as a pharmacist, I might be able to give you some more information on that in a subsequent show.
But you will talk a little of it today.
Excuse me?
You will talk a little on it today.
Well, we are just winding up. The show ends at 11, so we're kind of out of time to explore it. But we will definitely look into that show.
I've taken notes.
Okay. Thank you very much, ma'am. Bye-bye. Yeah. So, Dr. Jones, in winding up, we just about 1 minute before the hour. What are your final thoughts? What do you want to leave with Dominicans today?
Well, I think that we have come to love the convenience lifestyle. And I find that particularly amongst younger people, they can't imagine life without the things like their constant use of the cell phones, their driving around from. One young lady was telling me that she drives to pick up her lunch and it's only a block away. All of those kinds of expectations that things are fast, things are quick, and we're not realizing that the impact on our health is being seen as a result of that. So we just need to stop and be aware that we need to monitor and look at what we eat, look at what we buy, look at our household in terms of its toxicity. Certain professions, for example, or certain like people who work in beauty parlors, for example, they're inhaling. You're doing nails, you're doing toes. The chemicals from that can often be something that you wouldn't want to be doing for a long period of time, or you should be wearing a mask. Or there are other things that we need to be looking at too, in terms of even occupations and some of the more challenges for that. But I think we just need to take care of our bodies by detoxifying, sweating. A lot of us don't like to sweat, but sweating is very valuable in getting rid of toxins in our systems. And we also need to address all of that in a holistic way, including our spiritual aspect of that as well.
Great. I think it was an amazing show today. I believe many of us were challenged and empowered to do better and to take better care of ourselves, be more conscious of what is around us, particularly within our households.
That's right.
Ensuring that we are more mindful of the chemicals that we're exposed to on a day-to-day basis, and that we make the wise choices and look at the labels of items that we're buying as well. And what we're feeding our children. So I think it was a great show. I think it's something that we will definitely look in a subsequent to explore further, because there are other variables that are a link to the topic that we discussed today. Until next time, I'm your host, Carlton.
And I'm Pearl Fontaine Butler.
And stay in tune. We'll be on next week. Do have a good Easter. Take care of yourself and be safe.
And we want to say a big thank you to our listeners and also to our guest, Dr. Jones, for enlightening us on this journey to being our best selves.
Until next time, Dominica.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You're listening to Health Vibes. You were listening to Health Vibes, a production of Jolly's Pharmacy Limited.
Blessed to the Oja. The realest. Man feel like them a steal. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Give thanks for life, Life are the greatest. And when you're dying at the fire,